Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, got a very controversial topic here that I want to address because when I started this channel, I was doing XRP content, and it was because I wanted to help, fight against the misinformation that was out there. And I also was invested in HBAR, so I started doing some HBAR content, and that was doing well, so I continued to push that as well because people liked the HBAR content that I was releasing. And so the thing for me with this is I am always just trying to give you guys the truth. Whether it's XRP content, whether it's HBAR content, if I do any other crypto content, it's always me trying to give you the truth. I'm not here to just try and make money out of you guys for just engagement. I'm always trying to give you the good and the bad. And this is a very controversial topic that I'm going to touch on. And I always say this, let's see how many other influencers really address this. Now, I have got some thoughts for and against this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, it's the controversial aspect of the HBAR Foundation. And is it Shayne Higdon? Who basically, we found out that basically it seems like a lot of the HBAR Foundation members are getting paid quite a lot in bonuses via HBAR tokens. And there's also a bit of controversy around the BlackRock announcement, which actually led to Shayne apparently selling some HBAR during that pump, which obviously is starting to give off market manipulation vibes, like insider trading. And so I want to get into this because, as I say, I'm always here to give you guys the truth. So I'm going to give you my honest opinions on this. Okay, so let's get into it. If you guys don't know, there's a post on Reddit where this guy has just basically been doing some digging, and because obviously, this is again the advantages of using blockchain or hashgraph technology, it's all out there for people to see. So as long as you can kind of figure out whose address is what, you can see what transactions are going on and whatnot, right? And so this guy's done a bit of digging, and he's managed to find exuberant amount of HBAR tokens going to Shayne Higdon's wallet, and other stuff as well. And it seems like they're getting paid very excessively what they should generally be getting paid. So it's like they're getting paid bonuses, basically, right? And so let's get into this then. Okay, so the HBAR Foundation, it's a non-profit organization. Now, the thing that I'll say with this is, before we even get into too much of this, the one thing I'll say is, look, whenever you hear a non-profit organization, you've got to understand that, yes, it's non-profit, but they still have to pay the bills, right? They still have to keep the lights on. So this is one thing that I've always thought about with, for example, charity, right? Let's say I was to go to a charity and I just wanted to donate, let's just say $10, right? So let's just say I went to a charity and I wanted to just donate $10 as a one-off. How much of that $10 is actually going to go to the actual cause of what the charity does, right? Because a percentage is going to go to staff salaries, a percentage is going to go to probably the buildings and stuff that they own, a percentage is probably going to go to, general costs and expenses, and then, whatever percentage is left is what's actually going to go to the actual charity cause, right? So for that $10, it may be that only for example, $2 of that money actually goes to the charity cause. And so this is something that you just have to accept with non-profit organizations. It's not that they're taking the money to profit, but it's a thing of these guys don't want the money to come out of their pocket. So yes, they will accept these donations, but a percentage of these donations will actually go towards paying the fees to keep the business going, to keep the charity going. So, yes, these donations are going to go to the actual cause, but a percentage of that money is going to be allocated to salaries, expenses, bills, etc. So that's just a way of life. So that's my first thing that I will say about that. Now, let's get into the amount of HBAR tokens that are going to Shayne, for example. So from what I've gathered, I've just been reading this and taking it all in. Shayne was meant to be on 250k a year, okay? But he's been getting additional HBAR tokens received. So it seems like he's getting bonuses. Now, obviously, we don't know we don't know what was agreed when Shayne took on this role. Like, is it a thing where they said, look, if you meet these kinds of quotas, these kind of targets, then yes, we'll give you additional HBAR? I don't know. Is it just a thing where they just agreed to give him additional HBAR anyway? Again, I don't know. But from what I'm seeing, the amounts that he's getting, they're saying here over like 140k a month extra. That's excessive. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. That's excessive. Like, now, for Shayne, look, if you've took on a job and they've agreed to give you this salary and this bonus, well, Shayne's just doing what he's agreed to do, right? Like, if they've, if like Hedera have come to him and said, yes, we will pay you this much money and we'll give you this much HBAR tokens as well, blah, blah, blah. Well, if Shayne's agreed to that, then that's what was proposed to him. So I can't necessarily blame him for taking what he's agreed to take. So to me, I'd say, Hedera, why are you agreeing to give him that much? Like, why is that much being agreed to be given out? Or the HBAR Foundation, however it is, because I know like the HBAR Foundation is supposed to be like a separate entity from Hedera, but I don't know. I'm starting to wonder how that's really being done. Like, is HBAR Foundation kind of like a shell entity at this point? I don't know. Like, I'm starting to question it just a little bit. But yeah, either way, whether it's the HBAR Foundation or Hedera, whatever, right? Whoever's proposed this salary to him, why give that much? It's excessive. It's just excessive. To me, for the role that they're playing, I think the salary of 250k a year is more than sufficient. And if you do want to give bonuses, then yeah, that's fine. But does it have to be up to the tune of 140k? Like, that's a lot, guys. That really is. And the thing is obviously whenever you're getting paid in tokens, the problem is obviously the retail, right? Because, we're investing in hopes to, see the company expand and that eventually the price will go up, and that will obviously help us to get to a point where we can sell and make our profit. But the more whales that are involved here, the harder it is for us, because when whales have got such high amounts of HBAR or any token, like, the percentages doesn't need to go up the way it does for the average retail holder, right? Like, for us to get like the kind of money that we want, we're hoping for like the real big multiplier effects, right? So for example, when the BlackRock announcement came out, HBAR was pumping. Now, I didn't sell at that time. I'm sure a lot of other people didn't sell. Why? Well, for me, it just wasn't worthwhile. Like, yes, I'd have made a profit, I'd have made some money, but it's not money that I'm going to look and think, wow, this is really going to change my life. Like, no, like, it's okay, but it wasn't going to be nothing that I was going to be like, oh, this is great, this is absolutely incredible, I can go and do X, Y, Z with this money. It's like, yeah, that's nice, I've made a bit of money there, but nothing that would make me overly satisfied. But if you've got like millions of HBAR that you can just sell on a whim, and you're going to get more each month as well, like, you're going to build that back up, well, yeah, that's nothing, right? Like, it going up 5-10%, when you've got that much HBAR, for you that could be thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars that you've made there. Do you see what I'm saying? And so the problem becomes is that when it's so easy for the whales to sell, obviously they'll sell their huge amounts, and it adds selling pressure. So for the people who, the average retail investors, like, it makes it difficult for them, right? Because we're not getting to the prices that we need for us to get our kind of price points to try and sell. Now, look, I'm not about to say that, they shouldn't be able to sell at all if they hold HBAR, because obviously that's unfair to them. But I'll say this, right? I work for a very reputable company. I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to say what I do, because I'm just not comfortable putting that out on the internet, but it's a very reputable company, I'll say that. Now, within certain departments of my company, depending where you are, if you have shares of that company and you want to sell, you have to go to the company, like there's a certain department, and say, I want to sell X amount of shares on this date. And you have to let them know in advance, and they have to give you the clearance to do this. Why? Well, they don't want it to look like insider trading. So, for example, if you're in a department where you're finding out like future aspects for the company, like, there's going to be something released to the public soon, well, they're thinking, well, if it gets looked into that, this news is coming out on Monday, it's now Thursday, and somebody just sells on the Monday, one of the members of staff, it's going to look like insider trading, right? So they will say, look, we've got this news coming out. Unfortunately, we can't allow you to sell right now because we've got this news coming out. It's going to look too shady. So you're going to have to wait a couple of days later or whatever. Now, that's obviously a shame because it does mean that the person is going to miss out on being able to sell. But the truth of the matter is they have insider knowledge. So yes, that's not fair because obviously the average people out there who are also shareholders in the company, they don't know this is going to be released. This information is going to be released. So for them, they don't know what's going to happen or how the market's going to react. Whereas, the person who works for the company was like, oh yeah, this is going to be huge. Like, I don't know what a big deal this is. I'm working for the company. I'm on the inside. I know. So they can already know that they're going to make a good profit. So it's to stop that kind of stuff, right? So this is what we're talking about in a general, a regulated environment with a, very reputable company. And I think this is the problem with where we are now with like crypto. We're not in that position right now. And so we now get to the whole thing about the BlackRock announcement, right? Because one of the concerns is that Shayne sold, we don't know when it was done, but we've basically considered that there was a transfer done to an exchange on the day of the BlackRock announcement, okay? And so obviously people are saying that they feel like this is insider trading because, he knew the news was coming out. There's obviously the controversy about the actual post that was put out because they feel like, some people feel like it was misleading and then it was like deleted and stuff like that. So some people feel like it was purposefully done to mislead people so that Shayne could get the pump and sell on the pump, right? So again, insider trading. Okay, so I covered this when it first came out, in regards to the post that came out from the HBAR Foundation. I'm going to stand on what I said before. I don't really think there was issues with the post personally, but I will say this, okay? When you make a post, right? And let's just say crypto, because this is the thing, okay? Sometimes it's about knowing your audience as well, right? So you could maybe make a post where, although, yes, you've not necessarily put anything in there shady, you might not have been as clear as what you could have been. And the reason why I say that is because when we're looking at crypto, you've got to understand there's people of all ages involved in crypto, right? Like you can get like teenagers involved in crypto. And so not everyone is going to, read between the lines or even just thoroughly read everything that they see. Some are just going to see one thing and just run with it, right? And so my thing is this, and I don't know, because I'm not accusing Shayne of insider trading here. I'm just speaking my thoughts out loud here at this point. Is this a thing where Shayne, although he didn't specifically mislead people, he knew what people would pick up from the post. He knew how it would be interpreted. So he didn't go out of his way to say, hey, look, this isn't this. It's not that BlackRock are actually, this is exactly what it means. Like, so maybe he's left it where people will speculate on it. He knew maybe influencers would do videos on it and, do it in a certain way. Maybe it's that kind of thing. And he knew that would be enough to get the market roaring and he could make some profit. Now, again, I'm not accusing him of this. I'm just speaking out loud right now because I don't have enough information. But as I have been just reading through Reddit and just seeing people's posts and stuff, apparently Shayne put a post on his own personal X profile. So not on the HBAR Foundation's profile, on his own personal profile. And apparently he deleted the post. So, people are saying that he did this and the post was really misleading. Apparently, like it was worse than the HBAR Foundation's basically. And I'm also seeing that apparently this isn't the first time that he's done something like this. Apparently he's, put stuff on his X profile before and it's been really misleading. He's had to delete it. So, I don't know. Is this a guy who just makes sloppy decisions sometimes? He doesn't really articulate himself very well and makes mistakes? Maybe. Or is he someone who's basically calculated and knows that certain information that he puts out there is going to get people excited and get, HBAR's price pumping, and he's just manipulating the market by insider trading. I can't say. But, look, when I first covered the BlackRock thing, I felt, it was fine. But obviously now we're starting to look at things from a bit of a different light, because we're seeing, further information now about how things have been, how things have been worked, right? How things have happened behind the scenes while this was all going on. So it does make me question things just a little bit differently now, because I don't know what the intentions were, right? And as I say, like, if we was talking, like, for example, this type of announcement, and you was talking about, like, my company, that I work for, you wouldn't have been able to sell that day. That's how it would work in a regulated environment. You wouldn't be able to. Like, you would have to go to the company and say, I want to sell these shares today, or whatever day. And they will say, unfortunately, we've got this announcement being released this day. You're not going to be able to do that. So this is where I say, like, in terms of like regulations and stuff for crypto, like, we really need this. We really need this, because this is the kind of stuff that can be avoided through that kind of thing, right? And this is why it's so frustrating that the SEC are being the way they are being, because it's stopping, this kind of stuff impacting us retail holders. Okay. So, okay. All in all, just to go through, the whole thing then, like, cause a lot of the stuff that I've been seeing now, like, there's been some real big conversations now about just Hedera and HBAR Foundation. And like, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot now is that, Hedera seem to not really care about retail. Like, they feel like, they're the enterprise DLT, so they're more concerned about having the big companies and wanting to, they want to be like a Google, like an Amazon. They want to be one of these big companies and they want to be up there with them. And, they're saying that basically they're not really that concerned about retail, and they're saying that, they need to start focusing on retail. Now look, I can't say exactly if that's their mentality. I know they definitely do obviously a lot of work with, enterprises and whatnot, which in a way, if that's what you want as your target base to expand your business, I get that. But I'll say this, if it's true that they're really not as focused on retail, they need a reality check. I'll be honest with you, because they might not realize it right now, but retail have a lot more power than they would realize. Okay. And when I say this, it's kind of like strength in numbers, because you guys might feel like, oh, well, what can we do here with this information? What can we really do? If you guys really have the unity, and I'm not saying to do this, I'm just saying that if it got to a certain point where we'd really had enough, right? If we all just started selling our HBAR, we all just said, you know what, this is, the way Hedera are being, the way they're treating us, the HBAR Foundation, we just don't like it. It's shady. We're getting out. And I mean in numbers, not just a certain people, like, I mean in numbers, like a substantial amount. We tank the price of HBAR, right? And so what happens then, right? When their token is pretty much valueless, how can they give these grants to these companies with HBAR if it's not worth anything? How can they pay salaries with HBAR if it's not worth anything? How can they keep giving these bonuses out if it's not worth anything? Do you see what I'm saying? So if we was to really like take a stand, we could really mess Hedera up, and that's something that they need to acknowledge. So even if that's not how they're thinking, I think this is something that they really need to open their eyes up to and understand, hey, we kind of need to address the community here. Like that's one thing I will say, because we have more power than what they think. But I will say this, it will take it will take a lot of unity to do that. Like, if there's only like 100 people who do it, it's not going to be enough to really dent the price, right? It's like, who cares? So it'd have to be like everybody on the same page. But yeah, like overall, what do I think about this? Yeah, like, I'm not going to lie, this is not the best of news to hear. It's not. Do I think this is something that's like the end of Hedera or anything like that? No, I don't. Like when we saw the BlackRock announcement, we saw the price pump, right? So we can see that HBAR does have price action. Like, that is a possibility. Like, it can still move. But I do think there are some things that maybe Hedera need to address now, and I do think they, need to start being a bit more transparent. Like, because, like, the thing for this is, if we all knew, there wouldn't be no issue here. If they just said, look, this is what the deal is. As far as I'm aware, like, people were knowing that Shayne was receiving like 250k a year, but that was it. Wasn't aware of like these bonuses, right? And then obviously we've got this whole thing about the BlackRock announcement, which is now making things look a bit, a bit weird and questionable. So, when you've got these additional factors that come into it, well, yeah, like, you're investing into a token, but you're knowing that like they're excessively paying salaries and stuff, to people who are going to be basically really affecting the price for the retail holders, Now, I will just say this, like, there are other foundations for other networks. You've got the HBAR Foundation, you've got the Ethereum Foundation, I believe Algorand have got a foundation, obviously Ripple, I think you've got the Ripple Foundation as well, if I remember rightly, but if not, you've got Ripple anyway as a company. And these are all companies, like, foundations that, like, they do pay in the tokens. So like, let's just acknowledge one thing, like, it's not just Hedera here. Like, this isn't just Hedera that do this. So I saw a post while I was on Reddit as well, and someone just said, it was a quote from Vitalik Buterin, who's the one of the co-founders of Ethereum, and he said, like, someone said to him, are you happy with earning like 150k a year or something like that? And then his response was, well, Algorand spend $30 million a year on salaries, and they've got like 73 employees or something like that. And he said it averages out to around $416,000 per person. So again, like, it does seem like this isn't just a HBAR / Hedera problem. But to me, the thing with this is, and this is what I will say, like, I think this is the culture that we need to, like, address in general, right? Because even if there are other networks that are doing this, it doesn't mean that it's okay, right? Like, the whole thing about crypto is like transparency, decentralization, all these kind of things. These are the things that we really love about crypto, giving power back to the people. And if we can't really trust the networks that we're investing in and stuff like that, and we worry that they're being a bit deceptive and that kind of thing, and worrying about like these foundations, are they really, got the best interest at heart? That's where things, get a bit dicey, like, cause it's like, well, how do we know who to invest in anymore if we don't realize we can really trust these networks, if we don't feel like they're giving us the full picture, So that's where it gets a bit of an issue. The other thing I will just say in regards to selling the HBAR, just a quick one as well. And I think this is where, integrity is really hard to come by, right? And I'll say this. What would be nice is if you got people who are just passionate about the company and the technology truly. Because if you get people who are really passionate, okay, they're not going to be looking for these quick pumps to just dump on the market. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say dump on the market, because I don't think Shayne's done this to dump on the market. He just wanted to make some money, right? Yes, it's ended up affecting us, but he wanted to make money, which is fair enough, because we're all here to make money. But if you've got someone who really believes in the technology and stuff, like, and cares about like the community, like, they just wouldn't do stuff like this, right? And like, I can give you an example. Like, for me as a content creator, right, I do this, and I'm at a point now where I actually get paid to do content, right? But I don't just go for the low hanging fruit. I don't just go for like, oh, HBAR make you millionaire, HBAR to $20, and I don't do just hype content. I'm here trying to do like fundamentals and partnerships, and like deep dives into certain things that's going on. And I don't grow the way other channels grow. But I've accepted that because I prefer to be honest with my content. Even me touching on this subject now, I'm sure there's a lot of influencers who will not touch this subject. They will not go near this video, this type of post. But I want to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm not here to just give you all the good about HBAR. Like, I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly, right? I'm just here to be transparent. So I accept that. But not everybody thinks like that. So I don't earn as much as I could as a content creator, because I'm not always just doing hype content. But I am willing to accept that, because I would rather just be honest. And that's what I mean with Shayne. Like, he could be someone who just loves Hedera and think, you know what, this is a great opportunity. I don't really need that money. I'm doing fine. let's let the community have this. That's fine. I'm not going to spend any HBAR here. I'm just going to leave it kind of thing. That kind of mentality where it's, thinking about the actual network and the community as a whole rather than, hey, this is a chance for me to make a quick buck and, selling on the pump. So, that's another thing, but I'll be honest with you, that kind of stuff is hard to find. I'm not going to lie. I do think it's hard to find. I think people, who think like this are rare. I'll be honest with you. So it's not like I can say they can easily just find someone like that, but I think that's the kind of mentality that would also help. So, that's my thoughts overall on this. I'd definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts on this because obviously it's a huge topic. As I say, do I think this is going to destroy Hedera? No, I do think they need to address the situation. I do think they need to, start being a bit more transparent and being a bit more open with the community. I think that's something that they need to shift their focus to. But, I haven't sold my HBAR at this point yet. I'm willing to see how things go and whatnot. And I still have faith in what they are doing because I still feel like Hedera is growing as a network in general. So I still think that path is fine. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. Was I disappointed to see this? Yes, I was. As a holder, I was. So we'll see how things go. But, let's see what happens. But I've not lost my faith altogether, but I think there needs to be some changes. But what do you guys think? The HBAR Foundation overcompensating their employees? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'll be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.